Green Group.
And I'm Lauren Hildebrand, also in the Residential Green Group out of the New York office. Okay, so quick show of hands. Who would say they are happy at work? Diane, Peter, close your eyes. All right, trick question. Who would say they are overall satisfied with their indoor workspace environment when it comes to, say, temperature? How about noise? I see Julia shaking her head back there. How about air quality? Pests? I hope no one likes this. How about access to views or lighting? Okay, so hands kind of went down after my first question. How about when you go home at night? You're all happy at work. Okay. Believe it or not, happiness is a mental health condition which impacts both work productivity and quality of life at home. Every day there is a headline in the news that alludes to something unhealthy happening in our buildings that we live in, we work in, and not to mention professionally consult on. Poor indoor air, moisture, noise, and lighting quality, just to name a few, are linked to growing rates of obesity, chronic disease, depression, asthma, reproductive disorders. The list goes on. Here are some fun facts. We spend over 90% of our lives indoors, 65% of that in our residences alone. Chronic disease has replaced infectious disease as the leading cause of death. Today's children are the first generation to have a predicted life expectancy shorter than our parents. Are we feeling happy, healthy, and productive yet?
So published by national agencies, this is a list of human health risks in buildings. Some of them aren't very surprising, like tobacco smoke, or combustion byproducts, which include carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur, and particulate matter. Whereas health and safety, that's kind of new to the conversation of how buildings affect our health. Across the country, we have been incorporating healthy building presentations at conferences otherwise maybe known just for energy or green programs. So I've been leading the industry forward through our trainings and presentations emphasizing healthy buildings. As awareness spreads, developers are instituting more and more health and wellness amenities in an attempt to both attract and retain their tenants. Our trainings and presentations include practical solutions, some that were often thought of just as energy efficiency measures, such as air sealing strategies or non-ducted HVAC, and those that are more closely compared to indoor air quality, such as radon mitigation measures or balanced, well-filtered ventilation, as well as avoiding combustion materials and chemicals of concern. So there are many programs that chemicals of concern in everything from building materials to clothing to cleaning products. There's the Living Future Institute's Red List. There's Cradle to Cradle certification, Green Screen, Health Product Declaration, Declare. Well and LEED V4 both address chemicals of concern, and they also address indoor air quality testing. For several years, we've been working with the EPA Indoor Air Plus program, which is a complement to the EPA's Energy Star program. It's a really intuitive program to implement. It addresses water management, radon mitigation, combustion, indoor air quality through emissions, and ventilation. And you might not know, but for the last 6 consecutive years, SWA has been the recipient of the Indoor Air Plus Award. And we're now getting ready to submit for our 7th consecutive award. This table, which was, it's in the V drive, you can see the address below. It was developed by breaking down building assemblies by component and identifying the risk to the occupant due to chemicals of concern. In some cases, an alternative might also be a concern, not just due to the occupant exposure, but also because of other offenses, such as one chemical, diisocyanates, are found in many building materials, especially in EPS, XPS, and polyiso insulations. They contain methylene diphenylene diisocyanate. It's a nasty chemical. A good substitute might be a cellular glass insulation because it doesn't release chemicals of concern to both greenhouse gas emissions and human health. However, as with any spun glass material, it is a concern for those who are handling it in the manufacture or installation process. So while voluntary programs have moved codes and standards forward, we still need to work diligently to keep chemicals of concern out of our built environment. In 2010, the European Union banned over 1,000 toxic chemicals, yet it took the US until last October to ban the final 5 phthalates that are in hundreds of manufactured products, including children's toys. So that means that this rubber ducky containing phthalates could find its way into the US but would be stopped at the EU borders. Ironically, in most cases, the chemically enhanced ducky as well as the chemically restricted ducky are manufactured in the same plant. So even more alarming, the vote last October, was 3-2. Not even unanimous. Clearly, we have more work to do.
So as Karla just alluded at, what can we do about the health impacts from our buildings? You didn't think we'd actually come here and not give you solutions, did you? With all the great work that we do in energy efficiency, waterproofing, envelope, accessibility, and even green building certification, we haven't always emphasized health, or we've lacked the tools to inform clients. Until now. Fortunately, there is already an established business case for healthier buildings, from greater employee productivity to reduced sick days in the workplace to reduced asthma incidents and ER visits for children living in green housing. Before we can educate our clients, though, we need to align ourselves internally. Currently, we are taking all this information and developing an internal guide called SWA Recommendations for a Healthier Building, which will also be accompanied by training. The intent is to make sure that all SWA employees have access to the latest information and recommendations to keep us ahead of the curve and to do no harm. So who's behind this internal health initiative? About 2 years ago, some concerned SWA colleagues formed a working group that focused mainly on solutions for better indoor air quality. In other words, we grew out of a common interest in dirty air and not wanting to die a premature death. At this time, we were also approached by various IAQ testing services, which we didn't know much about at the time. As you can see, we have a mixture of offices and groups represented, so that we can have a diverse look at how health may impact different industries and overlap with services that we currently provide. Since its conception, we've expanded our health concerns way past IAQ. Here's a 30,000-foot view of the various categories that will be addressed in our guide. Come on in. Indoor air quality. Our guide and training will focus on identifying the top chemicals of concern. As Karla, probably SWA's strongest and broadest category, IAQ recommendations will include ventilation rates, thermal comfort targets, moisture management, and integrated pest management topics. Chemicals of concern. Our guide and training will focus on identifying the top chemicals of concern, as Karla illustrated, and finding suitable replacements. Noise. Noise creates stress, which is ultimately one of the most serious health risks we can face. If anyone has spent time near, or better, sitting at the desk over by the equipment closet in the New York office, can attest to that. I think Julia can, and I'm pretty sure this is why Erica left us for Canada. Our guide will include suggested noise limits and strategies to meet them. Lighting and views has been proven to affect stress levels, sleep, and productivity. We are developing recommendations such as inclusion of biophilic or nature elements in workplaces and optimum lighting brightness and color temperature for daytime versus nighttime. Make sure you speak to Andrea today during happy hour because I believe she is currently retrofitting the DC office with blue lighting to keep everyone happy and productive. Active design guidelines. Physical inactivity and a healthy diet are second only to tobacco as the main cause of premature death in the United States. The Center for Active Design, located right here in New York City, helps designers include opportunities for exercise in buildings. In our guide, we will reference easy-to-follow checklists in our work to help keep people moving indoors and out. Universal design is all about the techniques we use, including design and technology, to make buildings usable for people with a wide range of abilities. Victoria is the lead expert for universal design at SWA, who has championed the connection between accessibility, ADA compliance, and health for quite some time. In fact, she just received word that her universal health design credit was accepted into the new WELL 2.0. I'm Chris Farley, and my son, who does a spot-on impersonation of the fat guy in the little coat. The struggle often comes down to getting all these big, fat, good ideas into the too small time, space, and budget available. New construction versus existing, single family versus multifamily, libraries versus schools. All of these really are not all building fit all for the same recommendations. Trade-offs, cost and energy, though this is still up for debate. New information is coming at us at ludicrous speed, and health research often changes course as it matures. And our plates are full. Teams can barely get a green building built, let alone add more requirements. This also ties into the fat guy in a little coat. Sometimes it starts to feel like we are trying to make designers and builders tackle too many issues at once. But this is lives at stake, so we want to make sure that SWA does no harm with our other building system requirements. So what's next? Today? All right, and our training will start in late June with Karla's Lunch and Learn on best IAQ practices, with the full set of recommendations and training coming out in July. Once we are all on the same page internally, we really want to push the envelope and get more work and get our clients up to speed by doing some type of did you know handout that will help guide them to happier and healthier coworkers, to tenants, to homeowners, and to employees. And kind of what Mark was saying in his vision presentation, this initiative has really sparked a new interest for me, and I know for Karla and the rest of our working group, that we can take a holistic approach, really get all of our groups on the same page, start overlapping, and really taking our health seriously and getting ourselves aligned and hopefully our clients aligned. This is our health, so let's get healthy.